Hi everyone, I'm 𝐂𝐫𝐢𝐠𝐡𝐭 and in this video I want to talk about one of the most important and transformative approaches I use at Bright Lights Life. Compassion-focused therapy, often shortened to CFT. I want to begin with something many people don't hear enough. If you struggle to be kind to yourself, that is not a personal failure. It is an understandable human response to threat, trauma, and survival. And that is exactly where compassion-focused therapy begins. So many people come to therapy not just distressed, but ashamed. They say things like, "I should be over this by now. I'm weak. There must be something wrong with me." What CFT helps people understand is this: your nervous system learned to protect you, not to make you miserable. The problem isn't that people are broken. The problem is that they've become living in threat mode for so long. Compassion-focused therapy was developed by Paul Gilbert, a British clinical psychologist in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Professor Gilbert was working with people who had experienced complex trauma, chronic shame, severe self-criticism, and long-standing mental health difficulties. He noticed that traditional cognitive approaches often weren't enough because people intellectually understood things, but emotionally still felt worthless, unsafe, or under threat. CFT was developed to directly address this gap. One of the strengths of compassion-focused therapy is that it is deeply grounded in neuroscience, evolutionary psychology, and attachment theory. CFT works with three core emotional regulation systems in the brain. 1, the threat system. 2, the drive system. 3, the soothing system. So with the threat system, this keeps us safe. It activates fear, anxiety, anger, and shame. The drive system pushes us to achieve, perform, and succeed, often linked to pressure and perfectionism. And the soothing system, associated with safety, connection, calm, and care, often underdeveloped in people with trauma. Many people I work with have highly developed threat systems, moderate drive systems, and very under-resourced soothing systems. CFT helps restore this balance. At its heart, CFT helps people develop compassion as a skill, not as a vague idea or forced positivity. Compassion in this context means sensitivity to suffering, the motivation to alleviate it for self and others. It's a big one. In practice, this involves understanding how the brain learns self-criticism as protection, gently retraining the nervous system to experience safety, and cultivating a compassionate inner voice to counter the inner critic. Importantly, this is not about letting yourself off the hook. It's about supporting change through care, not punishment. Compassion-focused therapy has a strong and growing evidence base, particularly for trauma and complex PTSD, depression and anxiety, eating disorders, chronic shame and self-criticism. People who have not responded well to other therapies often find success with CFT. Research consistently shows that CFT reduces shame, decreases self-attacking thoughts, improves emotional regulation, and enhances resilience and well-being. It is especially effective for people who intellectually get it, but emotionally still feel unsafe or unworthy. One of the most beautiful aspects of compassion-focused therapy is how practical it becomes outside of the therapy room. Over time, people begin to notice when their inner critic is activated. They respond with curiosity instead of attack. They slow their breathing and calm their nervous systems. They make kinder choices without losing accountability. People often say, I would speak to anyone else. I wouldn't speak to anyone else the way I speak to myself. I'm learning to pause instead of spiraling. I can still challenge myself, but without cruelty. That's the soothing system coming online. That's light returning. At Bright Lights Life, I use compassion-focused therapy because it honors trauma rather than blaming people for it. It integrates science with humanity. It restores dignity and self-worth, and teaches people how to be allies to themselves. In a world that already demands so much, self-compassion becomes a radical act of healing. It doesn't make people weaker. It makes them steadier, braver, and more resilient. Thank you.